And welcome to another episode of Last Coin at the Arcade. As always, we are your hosts, Lucas Wilson and
Matt Buckley.
With your other...
Kevin Wicks.
What? Let me try this again. All right. Hey, Jellyheads. Welcome to another episode of Last Coin at the Arcade, bringing you a bi-weekly dose of gaming goodness. We are your hosts, Lucas Wilson.
Matt Buckley.
And Kevin Wixwat.
And today, we bring to you...
Titanfall!
Kevin!
I missed it. I forgot. I don't know how
you didn't even...
I missed it.
There was no effort there at all.
No, because it like...
You didn't even try.
Because I forgot.
You're even looking at me, I'm looking at you, and I was like, why is he not saying
Literally
anything?
just watched us do it.
I did.
1, 2, 3.
Titanfall!
That was very exciting.
I'm revved up now.
It's a good way to start the show. It's going to be exciting.
Okay,
We're going to have a good time. I can tell already.
So, this is a big game that's come out, guys. It's
Yep.
much anticipated. Won a lot of awards at E3.
May I just point out, I think this is the first time that all three of us have been united in the same episode of this show.
This show.
Yes.
Slapdiddle Forum we've been.
Yes, that's right.
True. We span
this is
all shows in time and space.
This is a milestone event right now.
It is. First time that the new three.
Is it like episode 100 and I don't know it? Like, is this...
Well, we passed episode 100 of No U-Turns a while ago. I wish I could do more, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah. Well, this show takes a lot more preparation.
Yeah. It's clearly the best show, but
yeah.
I mean, you can't have too much of a good thing.
Yes.
You know, that's
it
the
will
whole
quickly
reason.
Get old.
Like, no U-turn.
Burn.
Well,
So,
should I give the audience a summary before we start talking about the history of this game?
Yes.
Crafted by one of the co-creators of Call of Duty and other key developers behind the Call of Duty franchise, Titanfall, with all its advanced combat techniques, gives you the freedom to fight your way as both elite stealth pilot and fast, heavily armored Titan. The experience combines fast-paced multiplayer action with the dramatically charged moments of a cinematic universe.
Sounds way
Epic.
more in depth than I thought it would. Thought it would just be like,
Well, it's Metacritic, you know. They always
robots
have a
punch
pretty-
each other.
Usually have a
fun.
pretty beefy summary.
Yeah, they do.
So you got all right. So I haven't actually. I didn't because at first I thought it was only like Xbox One. I was like, I'll probably never end up getting an Xbox One. So I didn't really follow too closely with what was coming
Really,
out.
after we had that big debate, and
should have had
my
Kevin there
review.
to argue for Wii.
Oh man, what you were arguing like next gen consoles?
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, PC plus a Wii is like that wins. I'm sorry, it just wins.
I'm definitely looking to get a Wii U.
I suppose,
sold
yeah,
my
Well,
Wii.
Wii U is what
Yeah.
I'm playing on.
Well, yeah, Wii U.
Wii U is
Well, I
pretty cool.
suppose with the PC, you get every game that's coming out for the PS4 and Xbox, and then
Pretty
the
much.
Wii, you get the games that'll never come out for those other.
Exactly, it's perfect. There's maybe like I'm trying to think of a game. There's probably some on PlayStation 4, but everything on Xbox comes out on PC pretty much. Can't think of anything at the moment that's not. I mean, people have finally realized that PC is actually really good. Release your games on.
There was a bit of a dark period.
There was, but then like Steam came along and developers were finally like, hey, look at some DRM that people actually don't hate. Let's put everything on it. So it worked out.
I think Steam definitely revolutionized things.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Take the cake. So, you guys have been following this for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually just read up on the history today.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we
start
off? Where does this all start?
Well, it
Who
all
did what?
started a long time ago.
Yeah.
Probably about... I was still in college. I was either in junior or senior year. I remember reading that the two co-founders of Infinity War, I think they were the co-founders, Vince Zampella and...
co-founders got
The
fired.
pretty much the meat and guts of Infinity Ward left. Like all the talent. Anybody who you could say, not anybody. I'm sorry for people.
Some
who,
people
like,
had
used
to
work
have stayed
there,
behind.
but the majority of the team left because of a dispute over essentially royalties paid out for those who made the game after the game sold. And so they said, hey, you're not compensating us for our work. We're out of here. and so they went off to form Respawn.
Yeah, but then
Is that name of the name of the company
Yeah,
kind of
it is.
a
Yeah, it is. It's
joke
completely a play on, FPS, respawning, and
We're back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they've been working on this one game since college?
Well, here's
no,
since I was in college.
Well, no,
That's
we
when-
all were in college at the same time.
I'm just saying, from my own personal experience, what are you saying? There's no listeners listening to this that have any relation of time whatsoever?
Well, they actually
I'm
didn't.
talking to the listener, not to you, Luke.
You were talking to me and to him.
And by college, he means like around 2009. That's about
Yeah,
right.
a few years ago.
It was they released the first Modern Warfare, vastly popular. I believe they released the second Modern Warfare, and that's when the dispute happened, and they left after that.
Yeah, it was
They
shortly
actually
after.
didn't start creating the game until 2 years after that because they needed to go through all the litigation. They didn't start making the game until they, for the most part, I believe it was a little bit before they finalized the dispute. And I read an interesting article about how it was weird having Respawn because it was half people who made Call of Duty who are still going through this ongoing litigation they couldn't talk about because they're under these NDAs, and then the other half of the team who weren't part of that, and they're both making this game with this giant cloud over their heads. And so it took a long time until about, I believe it was 2 years ago, everything got settled. They were good to go, and they actually were able to focus on the game and make it.
On the other side of the dispute, Activision was accusing Zempella and the other guy, West, of conspiring to create this game basically without their consent or knowledge.
Yes.
So that was part of the dispute, too. So they went back and forth on that
Yeah.
for a while.
And then
Wait.
part of the dispute was also them taking talent to come to Respawn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which was another big component of it.
When they signed on with EA, it was a pretty big deal, too. It was like, oh, snap.
Well, I mean, they
Well,
needed
it's
Going
publishing.
from one
At least
giant...
it's the
publisher to
partnership
another.
program, and they weren't just bought by EA or something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because at around the same time that happened, Bungie signed on to do almost the same exact kind of agreement with Destiny, and now the
Yeah.
two franchises are almost kind of competing with each other for the big new IP of this generation.
Yeah, and it was also interesting to hear just how it all played out, because this was happening over years. So you're like, what are they actually making? What are they doing? It's obviously going to be something kind of closely related to Call of Duty, because that they revolutionized the first-person shooter for a console. You could say Halo was the first one to do it, and then Call of Duty came along and they just made it better. They just they figured out their own formula, and it's the same formula that's being used today. They've changed so little in Call of Duty since that first Modern Warfare.
Yeah, and in Titanfall, anybody who's a fan of Call of Duty, you can see the similarities right away in terms of how the game plays out and feels.
Although, pretty impressed about this is running on the Steam
Source engine.
Source engine. The
Yes.
Source engine. Pretty
But
impressed.
I mean,
about it.
it's modified Source engine.
Modified
I mean,
Source engine,
It's
but
weird because
it's-
I always find it odd when people say it runs on the same Source engine they ran like 10 years ago when Half-Life 2 was released. But it's an engine that's very flexible and everybody edits it.
Well, it's
so.
also a nice engine in which you
Runs on
can
low end.
make really nice looking games and yet still not tax the computer.
Yeah, it works really
It's
well on
really
low
efficient.
end
Yeah.
computers, and it works really well on low end consoles. I mean, just consoles.
Hey,
I like
for the record, I was the only one of this group that played it on console, and it's an extremely polished game. I didn't run into any
even on
hiccups
Yeah,
PC,
at all.
nothing. I mean, it was.
Battlefield
internet
4
problems for sure.
well, for
completely
everybody,
different
it
story.
didn't matter what you bought that on.
Yeah,
It was-
EA tends to drop the ball on a lot of things, but I was pretty impressed with
Well,
how
this was
turned out.
a little different because it's not a subsidiary of EA
Right.
making the game, and it doesn't run on EA servers. It runs all on Microsoft Azure servers, which are completely different. So
Actually, that reminds me. I did have some issues. That I bought it on launch night, and I couldn't connect to a game for like an hour.
yeah,
and then I
I had
just
none of
gave
those
up, went
issues.
to
I was
bed.
surprised on PC.
Yeah.
So
But
I
other
mean,
than that-
relatively smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, if I buy a game, there's a reason I don't take work off the day after a game comes out. I never do, because I know that that's the day that's going to have the most issues.
Yeah, exactly.
I always find it crazy. People release day, they take work off and they're like, "Oh, the servers are down for 6 hours." It's like, this happens every release.
Yeah. Every large
Yeah.
release like this, you see.
Yeah, I mean, the
problems.
real problem is it's not economically feasible to scale to the massive amount of people you're going to have on the first day. It'd be nice in like a really, perfect world, but it's just not.
Well, should we start breaking this game down?
Get into the meat of it.
Meat, the gameplay.
I like meat.
Now that we got the enigma out of the way.
Well,
gameplay.
I don't know if our traditional reviewing structure is really going to work here because, I mean, there's kind of a story, but not really.
Yeah,
Me and Lucas have kind of thrown a lot of it out. In a way.
I mean, like, we still talk. We usually start off kind of with the gameplay just so people know what the hell this game is like.
Yeah.
And then if there is a story, we kind of go like, so, well, this is what it is. There is one that you can play. Actually, it's interesting that they actually just kind of threw it into the multiplayer part of the game. Just so that they wouldn't have two teams working on two different aspects. So it was just, you can play it says campaign, but you're essentially just rotating through the maps that you play on there, except there's like cutscenes playing before and after, and then there's like
Which really don't tell you a whole lot. It's not like it's a
From
coherent
what
storyline.
I can tell, there's this giant corporation coming to this area called the Frontier, which is the less colonized part of the galaxy, and wanting their resources, but there's already colonies here, and they're just going like, well, f*** you. They go in, basically start killing everybody to take their resources, and then this militia forms to kick them out.
Yeah, so the story, it's pretty light.
Yeah.
You won't be playing this game because everyone's going, oh, that's an awesome story. I can't wait to hear more.
Here's the thing.
No,
I think it's kind of a shame. I really wish there was a campaign mode because this world that they've made is actually really interesting, and I think a campaign mode, like a dedicated single player, would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, well, the world, the universe is definitely.
It's like I kind of want
stuff I see going on outside the map, different
Yeah.
battles, especially with those giant
the dinosaur
giant-
things.
Yeah.
I think, this goes along with most casual shooters, though, where every casual shooter makes a campaign, and they're pretty much always bland. I mean, I enjoyed Halos. That's probably the one I enjoyed the most. But the rest, like...
Modern Warfare 1 and 2 were decent single player.
The first one was all right, but everyone after that followed the same formula. Just about. I really don't care about them. And I think it takes a lot of resources to create a campaign, and if you're just going to make another bland campaign, in my opinion, they're
then
relatively
don't make
bland.
another bland campaign. Make it awesome.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
think they
It
could have
takes so-
totally done that.
It takes so much resources and firepower, and
Yeah,
you
I
got to
think-
remember, this is a new studio. They don't really have...
I'm sure they
all
had
this
well over
backing.
100 people working
No, they
on
actually
that
had
game.
like 65 people. It was a small.
Really?
small
It was a
studio.
pretty small creation.
It was
And-
almost like it was almost like a AAA title made by an indie studio. That's kind of like
I mean, not
almost
quite that small.
Not
No,
quite that small, but it's
Yeah, it was
almost
small
like that.
and they decided we don't have the resources for this. We're just gonna cut it, and I think that's fine. I enjoy that. I think, in my opinion, if you want to make a good online game, you kind of have to sacrifice single player to do it. And if you want to make a really awesome single player game, you're going to have to sacrifice multiplayer to do it. There's almost no games out there that do both really well. I mean, look at BioShock. They tried to do multiplayer in the second one, and it was terrible. And then the third one, they said, okay, they actually started creating it, and then they threw it out and said, screw this, we're going to make an awesome single player game. I can't think of anybody who can do both.
Well,
really
Halo's
well.
the only one I've been able to.
Yeah.
Maybe not like a full-scale campaign, but maybe akin to like Call of Duty Spec Ops missions, like little snippets of like single-player or co-op things that you can do, so you can get away from just the deathmatch and online multiplayer modes.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
Maybe they would do it later with DLC. I know there's a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah, the DLC
Season
made it
pass
sound
and
like it
everything.
would just be maps, but I could be wrong. I read it
Anything
would
could
just
change
be
at
map
this point.
packs.
Yeah.
True.
So,
Wonder what they're working on next.
So
Titanfall 2. There's
So-
definitely going to be a sequel.
now that we've got that out of the way, we'll talk about the gameplay, guys.
Gameplay is awesome.
I mean, just to sum it up, it's a casual shooter. If you like Call of Duty, if you like Halo, if you like any of those easy to get into,
Any
fun to play, run
military
around.
type shooter.
Yeah, well, not any, but I mean, Arma isn't exactly like
No, for the
for the most part.
Yeah, it's more of a survival.
Think of like bros out, at a fraternity playing whatever game.
Brolo?
That's what I always think of when I think of Call of Duty. I think of people like college just hanging out at a fraternity playing it for fun. They're not really that highly competitive. You're gonna have fun playing it.
Except there's some super competitive people.
Oh my
Always.
god!
the
Yeah.
line,
There's
dude.
always gonna be, but in general, it's easy to pick up. It has a very low skill floor. I mean, the skill ceiling could be high. I don't think people have figured out how high it is yet because people haven't played it enough. But the skill floor is pretty low.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how we noticed during the beta, everybody felt like it was pretty even, and then now it's like
Oh,
people
yeah.
are already
Yeah.
getting the hang of the ropes, and they've already played through like
Somebody's
30
already
times
hit
and-
like the max level.
Yeah.
Like gone through 10
What?
tours.
It's not.
And it was like 2 days ago that happened.
Well, I know it's not that hard, but like for myself, like it's just like I
Got a
could
lot.
never find the time
Yeah,
to do
You need
that.
a lot of time to invest.
What is it? 10 levels?
10
So,
tours,
I mean,
yeah.
when you go through 10 times, I mean, you can go through one time in like I don't know, probably easily less than 15 hours.
What level did you guys get up to?
I'm currently at 17.
I'm at like 48, 47, something
Okay,
like that.
I'm like 20.
Yeah, I think in the first day I surpassed 20, and by first day I mean in the first like 4 hours.
Yeah, I
Like,
haven't
it
played
was
a
really
ton
quick.
of matches.
And then once I hit 40, which took another maybe like 4 hours, once I hit that 40 mark, it went a lot slower. But in general, I mean, I'm close to 12 hours in or something, and
Got your light machine gun just mowing down Titans.
yeah, that was fun. I
Well,
learned that.
I got a nice. The other day was one of those burn cards. I got a sniper rifle that lets me see like people where they are.
When you play the
Really-
game, you unlock these things called burn cards. It's like a mechanic, it's like a one-time thing that you're gonna have for that one life, and you get 3 of them per game. And well, you can use 3 of them.
Well, you can get up to. You
Yeah.
start off with just you have to unlock to be able to use the burn cards,
Mhm.
and then you get 1, and then you unlock 2, and then 3, and then you can.
And sometimes they'll just give you a better gun. Sometimes it's a new ability, like you can see through walls, kind of.
Yeah, I
or,
really like that one.
There's one permanent
Or-
cloaking or permanent sprint. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different.
or it enhances your ability, or
Yep.
yeah.
Or something like that. And it's only good for 1 life.
One life. Yep.
If you die, you lose it.
Yep. And the other person will get like a bonus for killing someone who had a burn card.
But you usually get like at least 1 or 2 every game that you can use.
I think they slow down the higher you get because there's less challenges for you to
Oh.
get, which is the idea behind. Like you'll get better burn cards, but you'll get a little bit fewer of them. And then as you eventually progress far enough in all the challenges, you really start to get fewer and fewer, which is fine in my opinion. Early game, I felt I had too many. Like I filled up my deck every single time, even though I was deleting like 5 cards. It would still at the end of a match, it'd be like, "You're full again." And I'm like, "Well, damn it."
Usually it's like the one rifle that I keep getting.
Yeah, well, the farther you get, the more you get. Depending on what challenges you get, it'll unlock different burn cards. That's part of the unlock system for them. Some of them you just get randomly. Like if you kill so many grunts or so many pilots, you'll just automatically get a burn card.
It's nice for those grunts and pilots for low-skilled first-person players like me.
Yeah.
To just
Yeah.
pick off.
Just knock them out.
Yeah, which is a great mechanic. I mean, you use them to farm your Titan, basically, is how I view it. I mean, it makes you feel productive, even if you don't, like, if you're really being outclassed, you're like, okay, fine, I'm just going to avoid them. I'm going to try to, just go after their minions.
There was one map where it's like a manufacturer of those robot minions called Spectres.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you play hardpoint on them, whoever's controlling a hardpoint, they'll spawn tons of them for you.
Yeah.
And I was just that was just like I can ignore everybody else. I just shoot
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah, so it's really an interesting mechanic where even if you aren't that great at first-person shooters, it makes it fun for you. And they even introduced other things like a auto-tracking pistol because, it takes longer for it to aim and hit someone, but you don't have to manually do it, so someone who isn't as skilled at aiming, they can still enjoy this first-person shooter.
I've
Which
been able to kill anyone with that.
you got to
I
play it a
haven't
little
really
bit.
tried
You
it
got to
yet.
play it as a stealth character, so you have to like sneak up behind people, wait for it to lock 3 times, and then just one shot, they're dead. It's not like a run and gun.
Does it have to go like red?
Yeah,
Oh,
3
yeah,
times.
3 times. Okay. It only ever goes like yellow. 3
It's
times
white
for
and
me.
then yellow and then red.
And you
then
can lock on to like
get
3
out.
people at once or something like that, right?
You can against minions. It can be 3 people at once. Against a
gotcha.
single person, it will purposely lock onto that one person so you get the kill.
Well, speaking of the gameplay being fun, I really like the new gameplay mechanics. The
Yeah.
jetpack, double jump, and wall running. Like,
Yeah.
the amount of mobility the game gives you is ridiculous.
Yeah, they were talking
so
about
fun.
how reading about that where they wanted to have more 3-dimensional movement in the game
Yep.
instead of
And
always being stuck like
It works
there's
so
no jumping in Call
Yeah.
of Duty. You just run around. Whatever.
I'm not going to play this game to get better at the gunplay. I'm going to play this game to get better at the movement system.
Oh yeah,
It's literally the only reason I play this game. Because once you get to a point, you unlock everything in like 15 hours. Like, what do you have to do left? I mean, really, there's like one SMG, couple rifles. Like, there's not much.
yeah.
Content-wise, there's really not much to it. So the only thing that I really find that keeps bringing me back to the game is, okay, I want to figure out this movement system. I want to figure out the shortest path across this map. I want to figure out the best way to get up there or to get behind the enemy lines. That's why I like this game.
Yeah, it really adds a whole new dimension to traversal.
Yeah.
So
In case
makes things very interesting.
In case you haven't played this at all, wall running, you actually run faster than if you just sprinted on the ground. So if you're actually able to get up onto a wall and, chain together wall runs, you can cross a map faster than a Titan if you are really going. Like, it's unbelievable when you first get it down. So I find that really interesting how each map, with the way it plays out and how you can chain your wall runs together to get to a place before the opponents can get there in the beginning of a match. It's one of my favorite things.
When I tried that for the first time in the beta, I was like, holy crap, you can do this?
Yeah.
And what about the namesake of the game, the Titan aspect?
Oh, of course.
Oh, that's boring. Who cares about giant robots?
I have not been able to. I seem to do better when I get out and let it fight for itself and then just do
Yeah.
my own thing
Yeah.
than fighting
Oh,
it.
yeah, whenever I get in the Titan, it seems like every other enemy Titan in the game just hones in on me and I get destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually better as a player as the pilot.
Yeah, I typically
Titan.
lately I've been using the Titan. I try to drop it on the other Titans first. It's my
Yeah,
opening.
Yeah.
And then after that, when they're usually looking at the Titan, that's when I'll jump on their back. My Titan will get up and start shooting at them while I'm getting, into the brains of the beast.
Other shooter, yeah. Unless they got that smoke screen ability, which
Electric
damage you.
Yeah, but you can jump off. You can still knock off a good quarter of their health before the smoke gets you.
Yeah, that's another thing about this game. Everything is so ridiculously balanced from like the different Titan classes.
I'd say not quite. I'd say it's pretty balanced for a new game, definitely. But there's a few things that I find to be a little bit. A lot of people are now gravitating towards the right tactics. I mean, the game's only been out for like a week and a half. I think people are going to find stuff to exploit. But you'll definitely see, like lately, I've been seeing a lot of shotguns all over the place.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a
Yeah.
little one.
And I'm seeing a lot of
Hardpoint especially.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's like
And the dash Titans. Everybody uses them now.
the
Like,
Striders.
yeah, because just the extra mobility means someone won't be able to hit you and they can't chase you down. So I find the Striders to be really, really powerful lately.
And they're not that much. Health isn't that much weaker than.
I find if you are a pilot jumping onto the back of a Titan, Striders I can kill.
Oh, okay.
They're like marshmallows.
In like one clip?
Really.
Just
They have probably half the health of an ogre once their shields are not
Oh,
a
okay.
factor. So the health is a significant difference, but you got to get past that shield.
The shields almost feel like it's like when it's against them, it's like, oh, they always have the shield up, but when it's me, it's like my shield just disappears instantly.
Yeah.
I've
But
noticed that too.
I like the Titan play just in general because it's a lot more like you start out the game, it's like Call of Duty, you're running around, it's lots of Twitch play, that type of thing. But then you move into this Titan gameplay and it's a lot more like Halo where everyone has a lot more health. You're duking it out. It's actually a duel back and forth. It's not just who saw who first. And I really like that gameplay a lot because I think it's a lot more strategic and it's a lot more fun to me than just, oh, I saw you, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all this back and forth with throwing up shields and the smoke signals and what weapon are you using? Are you using your ability right now? Are you saving it a little bit?
I don't
It's a lot
know
more
if
tactical.
for those who don't know, you get your Titan. You don't have your Titan right away. You always start off as just a pilot, just an ordinary shooter. And then you either wait for like the 3 minutes to be up, or you kill people, which shortens the amount of time. It's
Yes.
almost as if the commander's going, hey, that guy's killing a lot of people. We should send him the Titan. Prioritize this guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens, and that's the whole. That's what I was talking about earlier with the farming of the minions. If you can kill the minions, you can get your timer down pretty quickly if you're able to take out groups.
Yeah, if you find those, I always like, I was
Pods.
recently trying out being a sniper.
Yep.
Recently, and I was like, at least one map I did really well at, where I just kind of sat in one area, and then I would like, what was nice is because they would drop down like a pod and jump out in like groups of like 5 or 7, and then I would just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Oh, the best is when you see one of those pods and you're a Titan, you can just wipe out the whole thing in like a second.
I like just being a regular pilot and chucking a nade. It kills
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 in one hit. I use nades for that more than anything else.
Do you use frag more often? Or
No, I use the arc ones.
The arc ones?
Because I
I
find
haven't really tried those yet.
they kill people almost nearly as well as frags, which is really weird to me. I didn't even know they could kill people at first. And I've killed, I think, like 80 people with arc grenades. And as well as you can throw them at Titans and they get that weird like blurry vision, and it's a good time to get up behind them and start tearing away.
Okay.
So
It's good strategy.
My problem is like whenever I throw them, I end up affecting myself by accident, and then I can't see anything and I get killed.
I've done that a couple times.
Because it's
with-
like its EMP effect is larger than the splash damage
Yeah,
of
it
like the
is.
grenade. So I'm like, ah.
with the Archer missile launcher. I've been like trying to a couple times. I would try to lock onto a Titan, and then I would move behind like a wall or something and fire at that exact second, just blow up.
Yeah. I learned the hard way that you can't when you jump onto a Titan, you essentially rip open a hatch and you're shooting into the circuitry to kill it, and that's how you board a Titan. Well, if you decide to take out your anti-Titan weapon and shoot at it, which you'd think an anti-Titan weapon shooting at circuitry, you
kill yourself.
The problem is you kill yourself because it's splash damage and you're shooting at something 1 inch from your face. That's my first suicide in Titanfall, I believe.
Yeah, it was like a couple times. Like I was using like actually, I don't think the rocket launcher one doesn't seem to lock on when you're on there very well. But like the machine gun one,
that's the one that killed me.
I get on there, and like a few times I thought somebody else was killing me. I wasn't realize I was doing it, and then one time I was like, oh, I'm killing myself whenever I'm doing that.
It's like every time I shoot, I die. But yeah, I found out the best thing to take out a Titan by far is the light machine gun. It is,
and that's just
ridiculous.
That's not even an anti-Titan weapon, you said.
No, it's not. I bored. The light machine gun is not good at killing people. It's really, really bad for running around and just shooting people. But if you can board a Titan and hit people with it, because it has 100 bullets in it and you don't need to reload, you just keep going, and that Titan's dead in less than 5 seconds.
So that'd be like you to invisibility cloak thing, run around, grid on people.
Yeah,
lots of Titan kills.
That is my Titan killer class. If I want to kill a Titan really bad.
Nice.
And I'm thinking about going less with the invisibility and more the sprint against Titans, because if you can cross that ground, they might know you're coming. But then if you can force them to jump yeah. Like if you can force them to jump out of their Titan by jumping on the back of it, then you can, then it becomes, can you kill them first? Which I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on how good you are.
For a while, when I first played, it was your allies can also jump on the back of your Titan. Although lately, I feel like people are doing it less often than they used to at the beginning when I was first playing. And you can hear somebody clong clong onto back your Titan, and then at first, like I was like, every time I heard that from an ally, I'd be jumping onto my Titan, and it's like this guy, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Which is, it's an interesting tactic to jump on an ally's Titan, because you can't, they can't be boarded when an ally is on their Titan.
And you're protected by their shield too.
So sometimes I'll jump on, like if someone has an auto Titan running around, I'll jump on the back of an auto Titan, because then the auto Titan is going to be attacking however it wants to, and I can either use it to fight, or I can use it to get to higher ground, because when you jump off of a Titan, you get some more height advantage as well.
Oh yeah.
So.
Do you I like the Titans also have a bunch of special abilities and stuff. I've kind of fond of like the auto eject with the nuclear detonation.
I don't like auto eject.
Really?
Because
I like that.
The thing with if you don't have auto eject is you can sprint towards them before you eject. So if you're fighting someone and there's like a group of 2 in front of you or whatever, if you auto ejected, if they're at a distance, well, okay, whatever, it's over. But if you have that extra time that it takes to melt down, you know what I mean? If you can sprint towards them while tapping E, you'll jump out, and if they are out of sprint, they will die. Which is really nice.
With like people who are trying to rip me out with punches, and then like
boom,
I'm gone, and then boom, they're gone.
Yeah. I mean, you have to time it right, but
yeah,
I enjoy the sneaky aspect of, oh look, I'm dead, but not quite yet.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that you have a chance to get out of there instead of always just dying.
Yeah. And I heard the creators of this game talk about that, how they said anytime like someone kind of has a loss, they don't want it to be like really demoralizing, because like you lose your Titan, that's a big deal. It's like, oh man, that sucks. But they came up with this mechanic of, well, you lost your Titan, but you eject, you live, so it's a victory. They made a victory out of a defeat. So they did the same thing at the end of a match with the pod taking off.
Yeah.
So you were just defeated, but if you can get into that pod, it doesn't feel like a defeat. It's a victory.
You get a lot
you
of
won.
extra
like, I got away from you.
Exactly. So it's a really ingenious way of making something that feels terrible normally into a victory. Something that feels
They did
great.
a good job of just making everything about the game fun.
Yeah. So it's like they looked at the game and said, okay, when do people not feel like they're having fun? And then they took, okay, running around, that's not that fun because you're just trying to get to the action. Well, they made that fun by wall running and jumping. They took the part where you losing is not fun. Well, okay, what are we going to do about it? We're going to make losing, you're going to have an objective that will make it not feel like you're losing. So it's great what they did.
What I noticed, too, is there's much more of an immersion factor with all the matches, because if you think about just about any other online shooter, there's no context to the death matches. You're just dropped into the map and you start fighting. With this, you're shown being being carried into the battle by the helicopter or whatever, dropped off, and then you have to leave at the end. So it's like there's something actually going on. It adds a little bit of context to every
it does.
every battle that you do.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I like that.
other than that though, there's not much.
Yeah.
There's nothing to read. There's nothing to like get into. Like
There's no alternate reality game going on.
no, there's nothing. No, I love bees.
But I give
There could be some Easter eggs hidden somewhere.
probably.
Maybe
Probably.
people are running too fast to figure it out.
I give it a yeah. Sometimes I want to be able to just kind of look at what's going on outside the map because like they added a bunch of stuff like you don't really notice, but there's crap going on.
The giant animals.
Giant animals, like
Those
there's
flying dinosaurs.
yeah. Well, there's like
Weird.
one map where it's like there's these towers that keep these giant like 50-story tall creatures out of like this air base, but like the militia are like trying to take it down so that they get in. And you actually, I didn't notice this before, but I'm looking. It was when I was a sniper and I had time to be able to look over without being killed.
Yeah.
And I saw him like the thing had been taken down, and they're walking on the runway, and like tanks and stuff are trying to shoot him and everything.
Yeah.
It's like they're like. "Argh."
It's really cool that they have that much extra stuff going on in the background that's not even directly involved in what's going on with the
Sometimes
match.
you see up there and you see like skyscrapers collapsing or like a space battle happening above your head.
Very
you don't
dynamic
really
environment.
notice, so. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, so
I wouldn't say it's a dynamic environment. I mean, everything's static. Like
in terms of the structures and everything in the map itself, but in terms of what's going on around it, it's
I think I've
ever-changing.
been spoiled because even though Battlefield had like a terrible launch and everything, Battlefield 4 is really dynamic maps. Everything's changing all the time. But
because of the destruction.
Levolution.
yeah. Which kind of in this game there's less of that. It's more you're on a fixed battlefield, which I mean it is, the pull of your minions coming in, and it actually feels like a front line colliding kind of, and it changing around the map it makes it feel really good.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be like one side. Like a lot of games would be almost like one team has one side of the map and the other team has another side of the map.
Yeah.
But I'll often find myself like what used to be where my team kept spawning is now where the other team is spawning, and I need to get out of that.
What do you mean? You kill people then?
If they don't get me.
Come on, Lucas. You got to think like a predator. You can't be prey.
You have to adapt.
Slap their butts.
What? Pretty sure in this game, rather than like if you go up behind someone to slap their butt, you really just take their head and turn it backwards.
I mean, you guys haven't unlocked the butt slapping assassination?
What do you have to do to get that?
Well, you have to complete 20 failed assassinations and then
20 failed sexual contact attempts. See that being part of Blood Dragon or something.
It's like your executions get replaced by that. You slap somebody in the behind, but it doesn't do any damage at all. There's like no way to assassinate.
It just stuns them for a
It
second.
just makes a sound of No, there's just an animation of him turning around, slapping you in the face every time. So
Make that DLC right now.
Yeah. So I'm curious where this is gonna go in the future. What they're gonna build on, what they're gonna change. Because like if someone said how could they change Call of Duty, I couldn't think of anything. I mean, whatever played out.
Yeah,
Call of Duty is pretty much Call of Duty.
It's all you can do. Pretty much, they've done everything that you could possibly do.
But see, that's what I would have said. But I mean, Titanfall.
With Call of Duty.
Yeah. But I mean, they could change Call of
Unless-
Duty.
Well,
Like
here's the thing: nobody thought of these changes to the gameplay
Exactly, that's what
mechanics
I'm-
before that, so we don't even know what they could possibly
Yeah,
change with what
that's
they
what
have
I'm
now.
saying.
Just now, like with the current team, they
Yeah.
seem to be content with making the same.
I mean,
game
the
over and
reason
over.
this game is popular, I mean, literally, it's the only reason is first-person shooters are stale. I mean, that's literally all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the changes they made aren't that dramatic. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
like if RPGs, they change often because they're not as static as first-person shooters that come out yearly.
Mhm.
Year after year, same stuff over and over. Whereas they made these few little changes, and everybody's receptive to them because no one has decided to make changes in the
I don't
last
know.
3
I think
years.
the Titans themselves are a pretty big change. I can't think of another shooter where you're just popping in and out of mechs.
Well, there's
It's
Mech
still
Warrior.
There's
but-
mech
Yeah.
games.
There's a lot of mech games. And
There
there's
But
a lot
then
of
they're not
first-person
like on
shooters.
foot
Was
for
Mech-
a lot of that.
Yeah.
No.
Was Mech Warrior?
And
or
they made
there was a
playing in mechs fun and accessible. You're not in
right.
you're in a mech, but you're not like in an old school mech pushing a bazillion buttons to get
Mech
the
games
one
before
thing
this
where-
were for very hardcore gamers.
Yeah, it was like difficult. Like,
Yeah, what was that mech game? You could get out of your mech, but you're like this tiny, tiny pilot that had no chance.
Yeah.
And there was like no pilot on pilot. It was all about the mechs and stuff. And it was just.
Yep.
There was really no point in being able to do that. You could still blow up stuff.
So, I mean, they are changes, and they are significant. But I think this game really does benefit from how uneventful first-person shooters have been in the last
It really
few
took
years.
advantage of the competition.
Yeah.
How
in a good way.
generic it's become. Yeah, oh, yeah, of course.
Let's see how.
But I think this might even inspire the other franchises to kind of shape up and implement their own
Hopefully.
changes.
I wonder what Destiny might have in store.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for more. I have a feeling they're going for more story feel
Yeah,
to their
that
game.
seems more like
They're coming out with an MMO world that you wander around, and then you have these little instances of battles that you can join or choose not to join.
It makes me think more of like a looter shooter, like Borderlands or something.
Like you're wandering around, and then an event happens.
Right.
Like that. That's how it feels. Whereas this is more
Competitive deathmatch.
Yeah, it's more
stuff, yeah.
deathmatch shooter. You know, you're simply there just to fight. Whereas in Destiny, you're actually
Exploration.
Yeah, you're exploring and getting new stuff. So it's a completely.
I'm still gonna pre-order Destiny. Definitely gonna pick it up.
Is that only going to be Xbox?
Destiny?
Or PlayStation or whatever?
I'm not sure if it's going
remember.
to PC.
I'm not sure if it is either.
It's definitely PS4, Xbox, and
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the 4 consoles.
Yeah, Bungie hasn't really done computer stuff since its Mac days.
Yeah, and all those people who used to do
even
it are
then,
pretty
wasn't
much
that
gone.
outsourced?
No, they used to make.
They
used to make
Yeah.
exclusively Mac
Oh,
games. And
like
then it
way
was,
long. I thought you were talking about
Yeah,
like Halo ports
when their
and
first
stuff.
game, like all
was
their
like-
games were like for Mac, and then all of a sudden they were bought
Then
by Microsoft.
First
and
Halo
they're-
they made for PC. It was actually them. The second one was a port, and then they never made the rest ones. They gave up.
Yeah, the first one was ported by Gearbox.
Oh, wasn't?
Gearbox.
Yeah, and the second one was it was a different studio that
It was bad.
For
ported it.
Halo
bad.
2 Vista.
Yeah.
I never
It was like
played it because
hired gun.
Yeah, it
Or
was
something like that.
not very good. It's very disappointing. Whereas Halo 1 still goes to this day. Halo 2 does not. On PC even.
Yeah,
I believe they shut down it on PC.
The
as
service?
well. Yeah.
because Halo 1 server stop, right?
Yeah, because you can make
Halo 2 on Xbox's servers were shut down, and that was
Well, Halo
sad.
2 on PC as well, because I believe
Oh,
they
really?
use Microsoft servers,
Well,
which is disappointing.
so I guess what? So
Yes.
guys, what are you gonna rate this game? What do you think? What do you think it deserves?
Have we exhausted all of the things we
We
want to talk
still
about? I mean,
think
we
so.
didn't really talk about graphics or
I think we
Presentation.
covered it with the
Kinda
Source
covered
engine.
it.
I mean,
a little bit.
I mean, I give.
graphics are on PC. They're all right. Like I mean, okay.
They're pretty
Viewers out
good.
this
I
probably
don't
don't know
think
this. I mean, I play everything maxed to 1440p. I have everything maxed, and it looks all right. Like I think on most people wouldn't notice because most people don't go that high. So I guess for the most part,
compared to other online shooters that are its competition, like Battlefield 4, Call of Duty.
nothing beats Battlefield 4 for visual and sound. Sound is ridiculous in Battlefield. They did a really great job.
Oh yeah,
Lighting Battlefield amazing.
At least on the PC. One.
Yeah, on the PC.
360.
Yeah.
Then when you go to Titanfall,
360
they
was
don't really
good.
do like any of the special dust effects or I mean the lighting is very simplistic because it's Source engine. The sound is pretty good. I enjoy the sound. It's good. It is good sound. It better be 45 gigs. And then, but, I mean, in general, it doesn't look as good as other games that I played that have come out this year, but it's still up to par. It looks good. You know, most people wouldn't.
Yeah, I
even-
think it's still really
yeah. I have
good looking
to
game.
agree as well with the Xbox One. I mean, it doesn't look as incredible visually as a game like Rise, which pushed the boundaries.
Yeah.
But I don't have any complaints about it.
No, it's not
It looked nice.
the best ever,
Yeah.
and it's not terrible. It's
No.
right in the middle. People won't be saying you have to get this game for the graphics,
Well, yeah.
but you don't need that. I mean, it
And
is
like
what it is.
like we kind of touched on earlier, they put so much effort into creating like the maps and the surrounding world that I mean that doesn't really the graphics aren't that important in that case. Like
Yeah.
because there's so much visually already going on that you don't need.
Yeah, and it's a brand
the
new
latest
IP.
graph-
I mean,
yeah.
they've never made this game, so they don't have any art. Art. What is it called?
Oh, interesting. I was reading they didn't have the computers to make the models at the time, so they just did kit bashing. They just made models of the mechs to get the concept down for them. They couldn't like.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was really kind of interesting. They were just taking like model kits and sticking them together to design the Titans.
But yeah, they didn't have the art assets from previous generations to like improve on and make look better, or to optimize. If you've made a game and you have all these assets that you used before in the previous generation, you know how to optimize them later on. And so that's how these games that come out yearly, they incrementally get better, but they're really good at it because they've done it 3 or 4 times before.
Mm-hmm. I think in terms of just like the 3 areas in general, gameplay and graphics, I think I'd give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stories I wave it off because it's not really anything there.
Well, just the basic concept that they have, I like. So
yeah,
I'd give that a thumbs up.
I bet there could possibly be like some sort of novel tie-in that gets thrown out there at some point.
Yeah, eventually.
But
well,
if you want to learn more about it,
here's the thing: since it doesn't even have a campaign, I mean, who would even bother to read the novel?
Kind of has a campaign. There's ones that have come out for Call of Duty.
There's Call of Duty novels.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I learned that there was like. There's like 15 StarCraft novels. Like, who the hell is reading StarCraft? I mean, yeah, sure, whatever. If you like the universe, but I don't know.
There's only one game I've ever dedicated to knowing about a universe.
We all know what game that is.
Yeah.
And I've read all the books for Halo.
Nerd.
Nerd alert. But I haven't done that with any other game. Even though Mass Effect, I'm like I really want to know a lot more. It's just like I don't really have time or money to just delve into absolutely everything for every game. So it's just like Halo was the one I decided to keep with.
So do we want to give like our final say?
Final say? What's our final thought? Well, no. After that, we'll go into. Matt has a new subject to go into. But
Lucas can go first. I know. Put it on you.
Put it on me.
Yeah.
I always like trying to form my opinions off of other people.
No. That's why I did. That's why I did you first. Yeah.
Oh man.
So you always do it to me.
Well, first of all, actually, I think I might revise a score I gave last episode.
Oh really?
Uh-oh.
I was tempted to give Flores Jelly a 5. I think I would give it a 4.5 if we had that in the system.
But you do. You just did it.
We can't.
You have a 4.5.
We can't compromise.
But
what is it, Lucas? What is it?
As the platformer and based, I think I'd give Flores Jelly a 5.
Wow. All right.
But you didn't revise it then.
No, he did.
I gave
it a 4
last
on
time.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I really thought about it and I played it again. I was like, you know what? I really love the way the game looked.
And really good game.
It's for just an indie platformer. It's
we have our first score revision.
Okay.
Yeah, just as an aside, I was really torn between a 4 and a 5 with that game too, but just missing this little je ne sais pas.
Anyway, Titanfall. Okay, it's turned out to be a really nice, really polished game. They've definitely gone above and beyond.
I hope you get fans that hate you for
making
this.
Well, it's like part of me. It's like
give it a 2.
I acknowledge I can't really think of anything like too faulting other than like there really isn't any like the story isn't like that fleshed out. But it's like well, it's not really a huge important part of this game anyway.
Yep.
But then it's like part of me. You're always resistant to want to always give like the polished AAA titles a high score. But it's like
there's nothing wrong with it, man. They're popular for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't always give polished AAA titles a high
I wouldn't
score.
give
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I wouldn't give.
But I wouldn't
give
them a low
Duties.
score because they're popular.
Yeah. I think for now, I think I might give this a 5. I really enjoyed it. I think they did a pretty good job for their first game in this new studio, and it is definitely something a little more interesting. I have been playing on my own online for the first time in a long time. I've become a guy who does not like playing multiplayer games without friends.
Yeah.
Online, I just don't enjoy it. But this time I've been enjoying it.
You've been spurging.
I could after I've.
You've been playing without me. You're cheating on me.
Uh-oh.
Hey, I got video proof you were playing without me.
Oh, wow.
You were eating dinner.
To the evidence?
But
yes.
For now, I'll give it a 5. Maybe next episode it can end up changing. But right now, I'll give it a 5.
All right. Who's next?
I'll go, I guess. I mean, my comments and feedback pretty much mirror Luke's and probably Kevin's too.
I think I'm a little different than both.
All right.
We'll
see about
3.
that. Game is definitely awesome. Was a blast to play. I think anybody who's even remotely a fan of first-person shooters needs to play this game. I almost kind of want to abstain from giving this a numerical score because I feel like with games like this, numerical scores don't matter as much. But
people want a number.
Well, I feel
What's your
like with
number?
games
What's
like
your
this,
number?
like
What's
you've
your
got
number?
dozens
What's
and
your
dozens of
number?
reviews with numbers. I would probably give it a 5. I would say because it accomplished everything that the studio wanted it to accomplish.
Yeah.
It definitely brought the genre forward in numerous good ways, and I
Mhm.
think it's going to have a lasting impact on the genre. So I would give it a 5.
All right. So why do you give this game a 2, Kevin?
I don't give it a 2. I think after playing this
How
game,
did it fail you?
I played the beta. I played a regular, I'm probably up to around 15 hours in it, which isn't that much. And unfortunately, I already find myself not enjoying it then. I feel I've explored a lot of it. I feel there's a lot more to learn, but I don't know if I'll still really want to keep coming back to this game other than, like, I really enjoy the wall running. I really enjoy that aspect. I find the shooter part of it relatively boring. I mean, you're not going to be coming back this game for anything other than once you unlock everything. I mean, that's it. Now it's just, you're doing your standard.
It's still fun.
Like I play. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you jump on Titans and you kill them. But I think after doing that a few hundred times, at least for me, I don't find it exciting to jump on a Titan. I think to me that's a problem. Like, I enjoy this game, but I don't think the skill ceiling's high enough there for me to keep wanting to come back to get better at it because it's not made for that. Most of it's made for casual shooter. So at least for me, I don't find myself with the longevity that I feel of other games, and I'm not. And that's really my only complaint about this game. Everything else, I love the gameplay. I love the new aspects of it. I love basically everything they've done with it. I really enjoy it. But for someone who's been playing these shooters for a very long time, to me it's great. It's new stuff, but it's just not enough to keep me coming back week after week for months at a time. I'm just not going to do it.
You have played it more than we have.
And I understand lots of people love this, and they'll play Call of Duty for a full year until the next one comes out, and they'll be completely satisfied with that. With me, I like really new experiences, something new and great. And with this, I found that those experiences, at least to me, after playing 15 hours, it's already starting to wear thin a little bit, which I think could be an issue. I'm going to give it a 4, personally. I enjoyed everything out. You guys make great points, and you can tell I enjoy the game. I really do. And I would definitely recommend this to other people. I will say, you should try Titanfall. It's really great. You should give it a shot. But for me, there's not enough casual stuff for me to keep coming back, and there's not enough of those moments where I just want to keep coming back to it, and there's not enough depth to it where I really want to delve deep and play it for a year straight. So it's kind of like this weird in between where I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it enough for it to be like my main shooter for the next forever.
I definitely respect that. But just as a question, what would have made it a 5 for you? Like more complexity, more
I don't know. I don't make
unlockables?
games. I mean, really.
But
Yeah.
you gave it a 4.
Yep.
So it didn't earn the 5. What would have?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing about reviewing games. Like, I don't know. That's the thing.
You know what you like in a game.
Exactly, but I
So
know after
what was missing from this that made it not earn a 5?
Well, see, that's the thing. No, really. Like, I'm serious. If you've played something after 15 hours and you already find yourself going, do I really want to start it up? There's a problem. I don't know what it is. It's just I don't find myself really wanting to dive back into it. And that's an issue. I don't know why. It just is what it is. Like, I enjoy it, but I'm not going to be...
Well, from what you
gung-ho.
just described to me,
Yeah.
it sounds like after
I guess
after a certain amount of time, there's a lack of surprises, a lack of complexity.
there's a lack of variety, I guess
Okay.
is the best way to put it.
Well, I
mean-
kind of got that feeling too, because really there's only 4 multiplayer modes.
Yeah.
So if
And
they
there's
had
only-
even thrown in some
yeah.
extra modes with different objectives, different things that kind of
And there's
switched
3
around.
Titans, and technically they're different, but they're really not too... I mean, one has 3 dashes, one has 2, one has 1, and then different health values. My Titan's pretty much going to always be the same. I mean, there's different weapons. I could be a sniper Titan, or I could be like an up-close beat-em-up Titan, but in general, that's what it's going to be. But, there's just not enough variety for me to be like, okay, I want to go in and see what's new. I want to try something new. Like, I don't find myself doing that nearly as much in this game as I have other ones.
Okay.
So who knows? Maybe I play it for 100 hours and it's great, but at this moment in time where I am with this game, I already find myself kind of like, I'm not going to stick with it. It's just not going to stick.
That was a nice little debate there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't really debating. I was trying to
Oh.
extract
Yeah.
All right,
what
nice,
yeah,
nice
the core of your,
discussion.
yeah.
It's a nice discussion. What is this on here?
But
Are you touching me?
Oh, it's just something weird with the metal weave on the microphone.
Okay.
So, now we got... Oh, crap. All right.
Yeah.
Now that we've gotten our thoughts out of the way, why
was
don't
a
we
lot
see
of
what
thinking.
the other critics have to say? And there's 3 of us here, so why don't we Where's my mouse? There it is.
Oh man, look at that one up there.
So why don't we do Kevin and I? It's Stanley Parable. All right, just
No,
above.
That's the wrong game. Just one above Titanfall. That's nice.
But so why don't we? One of us can read the lowest score. One of us can read the highest score. Maybe one of us can read the middle score. So, oh, really? That's interesting.
I guess I'll take the villain role. I'll read the bad one.
All right, Kevin.
I'll make it
go
dripping
first.
with sarcasm and hate. Oh man, there's not even a bad one. They gave it what I gave it. Okay, I'll read Giant Bomb's review, which was they gave it an 80 out of 100 because that's how Metacritic works. I can't. On the PC, the game scales to fit a lot of different configurations, so you can. No, that's no fun. I'm not going to read that review. Okay, now I have to find 1 second.
There's an 80 above it.
You know.
In gamers is above it.
Okay, so the review I'm going to read. No, that's way too long. The review I'm going to read is Gamefront's kind of synopsis. They gave it an 80 out of 100. And they said, Titanfall comes recommended, surely. When it's on, it's really on. Players will keep coming back for those great high-intensity moments, but for how long isn't yet clear.
Wow.
That's exactly what I said.
That matches
Man,
pretty
that's
well, so I guess,
amazing.
yeah.
All right.
I'm the greatest reviewer ever because I agree with other reviewers.
All right. So wait, 88, 100 is the top, 80 is the bottom, with the middle, 90. All right, Matt.
Wait, you got to switch this to the Xbox One version because these are all for
Yeah,
PC.
these are all for
Oh,
PC.
fine,
Come
I'll
on.
go-
He has to read
well,
Xbox.
Get with the
ones.
program.
Fine.
You can switch it right at the top there.
Yeah. Hold on. Where am I? Right there.
There.
No, Xbox One. Jesus, not that one. No, don't tweet about it.
All right. So you want a middle one, like a 90?
Man.
Oh wow,
They
there's
hated
a Game Revolution gave it really bad.
Don't
It
mention
isn't
them.
necessarily bad. It's kind of
All right.
mediocre.
Not in gaming.
Here you go.
No, no.
Here you go.
It
In middle
goes-
ground. Shack
okay,
News.
Okay, ratings in gaming. It's 10 is perfect.
How about we do
9
something
is
else?
great.
Shack News looks a little long
6
there.
is terrible.
What about Vandal Online?
You want Vandal Online?
It's a little short. Vandal Online gave this game a 92 out of 100. We feel like this is next-gen gameplay. Titanfall proves that there's still room for innovation in shooting games, and we've had a blast playing it. It could have had next-gen visuals, though, and then it would have been the bomb. I don't really like that review.
I don't know anyone who uses the bomb. man.
Well, this
Or-
is what
or
this is
even-
what you gave it, man.
The
This
bomb.
is what you decided to read.
I don't like that.
You gave it
Bomb?
the
I feel
the
like that's
bomb.
so, like, 2002.
No,
The
that's
bomb.
That's like 90s. Like,
Keenan and Kel, man.
yeah, yeah.
Bomb? Well, Lucas.
All right.
Scroll up. Scroll up.
There we go. 2/3 gives this game 100. Even with all the distractions surrounding its release, like Microsoft's cloud-powered platform exclusivity, always online servers, and the drama of Respawn's split with Activision, Titanfall has managed to deliver. It may not be the next-gen benchmark that marketing execs would have you believe, but it's something better. A tight and engrossing multiplayer shooter that offers fresh experiences in an increasingly tired genre. Press E to embark.
Roof.
Woof, woof.
It's like an electronic dog.
So that's Titanfall, guys. Matt has something to bring up. Little gaming news. While he gets that ready, for you that want to know,
Do you have elevator music?
Psycho Jellyfish will be at the LA Web Fest next week. If you'd like to catch their show, The Highwaymen, just show up at the Radisson X Hotel.
What's that hotel?
Radisson LAX Hotel.
See, I don't know where we're going.
Second floor.
You're like my chauffeur.
Thursday at 6 p.m. and Friday at noon.
You just tell me where to go.
Yeah,
I literally
will
have
be,
no
I
plans.
will be the shittiest chauffeur.
You're
You're going to have to be the chauffeur.
Yeah,
I
Come
will
on.
be panicked.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not driving. You are.
Why can't
I
LA have a subway system like New York
that
City?
would be nice.
It would
That would-
be
yeah, that
it
would be
would
more
be
enjoyable.
fantastic.
Well, the city is. They didn't build up. They just
They
built,
built
out.
because there was nothing keeping because
Yeah.
Manhattan isn't on an island, so
Yeah.
they had no choice but to go up.
LA, they're just like.
LA's like, let's just take this whole valley and fill it.
Yeah.
So, a big focus of the show, obviously, is indie games, indie studios.
Yes.
And one of the big platforms for making indie games now is Kickstarter.
Yep.
Well, one of the most feared instances and scenarios that could happen with a Kickstarter project has now happened with a Kickstarter game.
Yep.
Kevin, you might have heard of this already. The news broke yesterday that a Kickstarter game that was funded in July of 2012 and raised $53,500 is now basically put on indefinite hold. So obviously this is a problem because people funded this, the fans basically, with their own money, and now they're not going to get any return on their investment, and there's potentially not even going to be any refunds on this.
Yeah.
So I figured we could kind of talk about accountability and just how viable Kickstarter is for projects like these.
Yeah, which me and Lucas actually talked about a few weeks ago, or months ago, I guess.
I think Lucas and I also talked about that.
Yeah.
Something that
longer-
pops up once in a
longer
while,
ago.
yeah. Even on Flapdoodle, I think it's popped up.
I've backed maybe 10 projects on Kickstarter, mostly games, so
Yeah,
I
I think I'm
definitely
at
use
3.
it a lot. And it's definitely kind of a fear of mine that especially something I pledge a higher tier reward for is going to just go under. And
Yeah, I've done both Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I haven't done any of the other ones out there.
there are others.
But-
Yeah,
out
that's what I was
there?
going to say.
There are there's one called Patreon where you can pay per like video that they make. It's like there's there and fund my project. There's lots of other
Okay,
ones
off
out there.
topic, kind of. It's on topic, but it's kind of off topic. There is a Kickstarter thing out there where you could. A woman went out there and said, "Okay, I want you to give me money. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm gonna guarantee you X percentage of my entire income for the next 10 years."
What?
Yeah, that's what she said. Give me. I think it was like
Wouldn't that be
100K.
bordering on Fund My Life kind of?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Isn't that against against Kickstarter
Yeah,
rules?
that does not
It's not
sound like
Kickstarter. No, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was a different.
But essentially,
some other crowdfunding
yeah.
platform.
okay.
wait, give me, I think it was like $100,000, and she raised it, and I think she's giving away 6% of her income, like for the next 10 years. Like that's crazy. Who does
really
that?
weird.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just as kind of like a social experiment to see like what would happen with
Wait,
that.
so 10%, 6% of
Yeah,
what
it was really
earned.
low. I did the math, and like it's not. There's no way they're getting their money back. Like she'd have to make like an astronomical amount of money for them to get their money back. But so it's not
What's
gonna
she
happen.
doing with it though? Investing it? Starting a business?
No, I think she's just gonna use the
living.
money to start. She was literally in the process of just joining a company and doing something else on the side. Like it was no big plans, no great company. She was just like, "Here's me. Here's my resume. If
Kinda
you think
reminds
I'm gonna
me of
do
that,
great in life, give me money."
Kind of reminds me of that once, well, not really quite, but just reminding me of during the earlier days of the internet, where this guy sold pixels on a web page
Yeah,
and funded his college. It's
Yeah.
like, it was
but
kind
that's
of
a little different. That's like
a little
actual
different, but
advertising.
that was reminding me of that. But
But Kickstarter.
I mean, I've heard, I personally, I've actually funded more like web series and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's usually like after I've seen at least a season and I know what they can do, and then
Yeah.
they usually have a large fan base, and it's like these people have proven themselves, and I'm like, I have confidence that they will follow through with another good season, and that's usually when I'll like, all right, I'll chip in this time. It's like usually I don't end up doing anything for the first season unless they've made other things that weren't a web series, something like that,
Yeah.
maybe like a short video, maybe they did other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I think I would
Well,
like to see something like
This
that.
project in particular, the guy who started the Kickstarter and who's basically leading the project had made a couple other like really popular fan games. But then I guess he just said making a real game is nothing like a fan game, so screw
Yeah.
this.
Well, this actually happened not too long ago, but it wasn't with a video game. It was with a board game.
Yes.
And it was about the same amount of money, about tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
The guy kept delaying it
And
over
he kept
and over.
delaying and delaying,
Giving
and delaying.
excuses. Oh, I got a baby now. And
Yeah.
I can't.
And so he basically effectively canceled it. And then I forget who came along. I believe it was another group of people who make board games, and they said, "We're gonna finish this for the fans."
Yeah.
Wow.
And they picked it up and they finished
That's really
it.
cool.
And now it's selling. I mean, I believe they actually bought it off the guy. Like
Yeah.
they gave the guy more money to buy the rights to the game or whatever.
So everybody won in the end.
Yeah,
basically.
I think
Yeah.
they gave like a free copy to the people who kickstarted it and
Yeah.
stuff. Kind of like the people who pre-ordered.
But
Duke
they didn't
Nukem
have
long
to
time
do
ago.
that. That's
so
the thing.
here's what
Yeah,
I'm wondering though: does Kickstarter have official rules?
They
Like
I mean,
repercussions?
They do have, yes, there is like terms of use and stuff that say like there is no guarantee
Yeah.
that you're
But
going to
what I'm thinking is somebody really crafty and devious could basically create a sham that a game was being made and show off like a bunch of screenshots and like a trailer that looks really, really cool, then go along with it with a couple years giving updates and then just say, this game isn't being made, and who knows what he's going to do with everybody's
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
you could, that does open you up to potential class action lawsuit, but
But why?
Well,
I mean, as long as
Yeah,
you
if
can-
he's showing it off as if it's a real game,
Yeah.
who's going to know otherwise,
Oh, I lost my computer in a fire.
well,
All the code's gone.
I mean, that doesn't. Just because, just because you didn't do anything wrong doesn't mean that you can't get sued.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
It would just mean that,
yeah.
you know.
But in general,
But I was
that's-
like, I wouldn't do it because that would just
Yeah.
be so risky. It would
That's
just
the
be-
problem I brought up with Kickstarter earlier. You are assuming basically all the risk of those making the game. You're taking all the risk, and they're decreasing their risk, which is great, which is why games come out of it. But because you're essentially taking on all that risk, you should be getting a greater reward, right? Well, that's not true. Once it gets released, the backers don't usually get anything greater than anybody else who gets the game. Really, I mean,
They get some perks,
You get a
but
copy
nothing
of the game
crazy,
and
yeah.
maybe a few extra little digital things, but is it really worth risking your money for that? Like, no, it's
One
not.
thing I really like, though, and this is one of the reasons that I'm into Kickstarter a lot, is just getting those direct updates from the developer, just saying what's going on, what's going to be included. Basically being on the front line in terms of who's hearing about this product first.
I mean,
If a project is important to me, then that's the best way to follow it.
yeah, like a couple of these products has actually gotten me to know some of a couple at least developers.
If you're
and
looking
stuff
to
like that.
network too, obviously, it's
like,
huge.
Jason Newlander and Travis Ritchie and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, in general, for the most part, it really shouldn't be worth it to most people. Honestly, it's
Kevin,
one of those
that
things.
ideology would prevent people from funding these games, and a lot of these games wouldn't be made then.
Yeah, the thing is, the people making these games, if they think their idea is really great and they come out releasing with a great product, they're gonna sell games. But the thing is, if you have a great idea and you're making a Kickstarter for it, when you're developing a game, that game changes over time. And sometimes it changes into something that either the fans didn't originally want, or it changes, or you think it's going to go somewhere when you start making it and it just doesn't, and it dies midway through a project. Now you're thinking like, oh, well, great, this game's like a piece of crap. Like I would like to drop it like any other project, but I can't because I have all these other people. So I guess I'm going to continue making this game that's, not great, and just so I can release something. I really kind of don't like that. Like, the old method still is there. I mean, the games could still be made, but the people making them have to assume that more risk, which sucks. I mean, there's going to be less games made because of that risk. But at the same time, I don't like the method of the way it's going now, because there have been quite a few Kickstarter games that get released.
But then
and
the
fans don't like
alternative is to work for a huge publisher who could stifle the creativity of the game that way.
Not necessarily. I mean, that's not the only alternative. There's still indie games that are made without Kickstarter. That's the
True, but a lot of times you need capital. And
Yeah.
Obviously Kickstarter is how
The
people are
easiest way,
getting,
yeah.
yes.
But there's so many issues with it, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a
And
perfect system by
and
any
it's,
means.
It's a great system for those making games. It is not a great system for the people funding it.
What do you think Kickstarter's like the best thing for?
What do you mean?
Like you've been talking about how it's bad for games. Like, where do you feel like you probably get your most out of it if you're helping to fund the project?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of project do you think would be the more return on your?
I mean, Kickstarter is used for creative projects.
They're all kind of the same
they're-
in the
they're
end of
all-
what you get
yeah.
out of it.
You're gambling on somebody's going to be creative enough, and you have enough foresight to predict that you're going to like the game that they're going to make, which is really a stretch. When literally they're pitching you an idea like, I'm thinking of making an RPG.
Well, a lot of times it's a lot.
Yeah, I need more than that.
It's a lot
With
more
dwarves.
concrete than that, though, because a lot of
Great.
times they'll have like a
Yeah.
gameplay demo, trailer, lots
Some
of
of them,
screenshots. Well, the ones that I find,
Yeah.
I know there's plenty of sketchy projects on there, but I usually don't actually
Yeah.
pledge money unless it looks like it's going to be the real deal.
Yeah, I like the better ones that are already far into development. But the thing is, if they're already that far into development, do you think they would have finished it on their own already? I mean, they already put in so much work.
Yeah, but
You know?
for some of those, especially larger scale
Yeah.
titles, they just need a little bit more.
But like something like Double Fine, where they're just like, we're gonna make a game, give us money. Like, that's literally
And
how it started.
Double Fine
And you
is
donated to that one.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
Yeah.
they're a
That was the
pretty
first one.
successful developer on their own, so
Yep.
they didn't even really need to go through Kickstarter. They
Yeah,
just kind of did it for the hell of
I
it.
like Tim Schafer's stuff, so I went with it. But there's other people that do something similar. I mean, usually they'll have more fleshed out ideas. They got to have some sort of hook to get people to invest, but there's no guarantee of what you're going to get, and that's really the
Would
problem.
you
Yeah.
support Cycle Jellyfish ever using crowdfunding to gain funds to make something? Or do you
Yeah,
think
sure.
we-
Again, it's great for the creators.
So- but you're
It is
you're
not
telling our
great for the
listeners
people-
that they shouldn't pledge money to our Kickstarter project.
Yes. I mean, really.
You're kind of hurting us here.
Yeah. Unless you really like us.
Luke, you're going to need
And-
to cut all Kevin's audio
Yeah,
out of this
yeah.
discussion.
If you think us as a group of people would make good content, and you trust in the people making it, and we can pitch something to you that you really like, and you're gonna gamble. That's what you're doing. You're gambling that what we produce is gonna be worth the money that you have. And the downside is you could get nothing for the money you're putting up. Then yeah, do it. But you have to know those risks, and the risks are ridiculously high for what you're putting in there. Like if you
I
don't
guess
care
depending
about
on
$5,
what you give. If you're like donating like
Yeah.
$1,000 to $1,000,
yeah, I mean a lot
If
of
you're
people don't
donating
care
like
about
$10,
yeah.
it's
But
like,
it's 10
what's the
bucks.
worst that's gonna happen? You know,
you lose your
you lose
$10.
$10.
But again, if you
but
do that,
usually more often they actually with this, at least with the stuff I've backed,
Yeah.
I've gotten something I've enjoyed back.
yeah,
So
Yeah, I've funded like 10 projects, and I'm still waiting on like half of them. But
But
the
the
ones
thing
I have
is,
gotten, I've liked.
like all the stuff you've backed. I grant, if everyone thought like me, there would be nothing funded. That's a problem. But like all the projects you funded, right now I could go up to it, take a look at the final product, know exactly what I'm getting, put the money down exactly knowing, okay, this is what I'm getting, and I have it. I could do that with every project you guys have funded with zero risk. Well, nearly zero risk. I mean, it's way
But
less.
if it wasn't for us, some of those projects wouldn't have.
I know, it's a catch-22.
come to- yeah, it's just a paradox. Do you guys think that crowdsourcing is going to stay around, or is it
Oh, yeah.
kind of a fad?
No, I think it's going to stick around
it's
for a very
probably
long
it's
time.
kind of like a natural evolution of the internet. It's kind of the internet's
Yeah.
become like this multi-voiced behemoth, kind of mix things together.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's going to be one big scandal where someone scams a lot of people out of money. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt it. And I can't think of any better way of doing it because essentially people are giving you money for ideas and the ideas aren't tangible. So there's no way of Kickstarter ever being like, no, you can't do this project. You're thinking terrible thoughts. Like, there's just no way. So
So wasn't there like a Nazi pop-up book or something they had to take off? I think that's pretty terrible.
So that has been Last Coin.
yes.
Well, Jellyheads, thanks for listening to this episode of Last Coin the Arcade. We've been your host, Lucas Wilson.
Matt Buckley.
And Kevin Workswap.
If you enjoyed this episode, may I suggest you hop on over to our website at cyclejellyfish.com to find this and other podcasts.
Do you say that in your sleep?
You can also subscribe to us on iTunes and the podcast app Stitcher. Please rate and review. It really does help us out. And if you're a fan and you want to help spread the madness, give us a like at facebook.com/cyclejellyfish or follow us on Twitter at Jellycast. And tell me your thoughts, words, comments, or questions. Maybe a game you say, hey guys, you should check this out. Send it our way. Email at cyclejellyfish.com or leave it in the comment section.
Spread that jelly.
I don't know what to say.
Keep it psycho.
Okay, wait. You guys say it so I know you're Candace when you usually say it. Do you say it really upbeat or do you just like say it like you got
Candace?
Yeah, like how you say it.
A cadence?
Cadence. There we go.
I was like, what are you talking about my sister for?
The right word is what I'm looking for. How do you pronounce the title again?
Titan foul?
Well, how far away from my face should this thing be? Like 3 inches, roughly? Oh, that close?
Yeah. Like you're about to like mushroom stamp your face.
Yeah, right like that.
Does it look like I'm talking to a robot penis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.